Hi, I'm Liam Kilbride. I'm a director at the Spirit Foundation. I'm responsible for managing SIFA, the Spirit International Football Academy, as well as the Wildlife Foundation. Having the Everton boys over, and Sean and Joe and Drew, it was really great just being able to see their excitement of coming over and to hear their expectations of what was going to happen and how those expectations changed while they were here. It was all their first time in South Africa, and even one of the lads, it was his first time on a plane. So the team worked really hard in developing a rounded trip where we wanted the boys to feel welcome and involved. So we wanted to start off by integrating the Everton boys with our SIFA lads. So we started off by pairing them off with some scholars at CAMST, the Cape Academy of Math, Science and Technology. And it was just great to see the Everton guys really get stuck in straight away and just be very keen to learn more about what's happening at CAMST and what's happening at SIFA, and they really fit in well. The football match between the two was our real exhibition or focus point of the whole trip, so we wanted everything to build up to that point. We integrated the Everton players into all our training sessions. First, the SIFA coaches took the sessions. They planned it and shared the plannings with the Everton coaches and just giving each other an insight into what the difference between South African and English football looked like. And we just had very nice and constructive sessions where we could share the positives and constructive feedback on where we could improve. And I think us at SIFA, we really learned a lot. And I think they also took some knowledge of how we ran sessions and how we are very personal in terms of dealing with the SIFA players and reading into what each day looks like. Each day at SIFA is always different. One of the community partners at the Spirit Foundation is League of the Friends of the Blind, or LOFOB. So we spent the day out there, and it was very special to have the Everton players come to a community project that we're involved in, so that they could see SIFA, but they could also see what we do in the community. And LOFOB had really outdone themselves, and they were very excited to have us over and to have an international name like Everton visiting them. I mean, there was lots of Liverpool fans, unfortunately, but they were very excited about seeing Everton. They had prepared songs and prepared sessions of just trying to illustrate to them what it means to be blind or visually impaired. They prepared different activities of showing what blind sport looks like. So we had blindfolds put on the Everton players, and they would be led into these sessions of the bells and the balls and all these different rules they'd never seen before. And the reflection from the Everton boys was just a recognition of their own privilege beyond finances or material privilege, just how they could see people at LOFOB and how grateful they are, and so how happy they are. So one of our key partners at the Spirit Foundation is SANCOB. So SANCOB specialize and are world-renowned for their efforts in seabird conservation and rehabilitation. And I think it was special taking the Everton boys there. Seeing the passion that they have at SANCOB was just lovely, and to see the engagement of the Everton boys in learning and a genuine curiosity into how all of it fits together. They were walked through a tour of SANCOB, and they were shown of the home pen where the injured birds stay when they can't be reintroduced into the wildlife. They were shown from the beginning steps of the nursery, where the eggs or baby chicks are first brought in, how they develop into the adult pools, and how they eventually leave. And they were also educated on the different threats of food insecurity, sickness, poaching, and just genuine threats to the seabird species. And it was also very nice to introduce them into the Foundation's contribution into SANCOB in our partnership, which is very much still growing, of seeing our ICU recovery pool, which is still just being set up now, which can take birds in a critical state and reintroduce them to water earlier on, having warmer water to have more relaxed muscles to accelerate their process towards being rewilded. In our final interviews that we did with the coaches and some of the players, a real standout was their trip to Lunga. So Coach Lwazi, one of our key coaches at SIFA, he he knows Lunga very well. He grew up in Lunga and he's a member of the community. So he was passionate and he saw the idea of taking the boys out to Lunga on a trip and just introducing them to South African culture from the inside. And I think a lot of the boys had a sense of fear going in, a sense of uncertainty, where from the UK people often only hear of crime and negative stories where they just know there's maybe penguins and safaris and crime. So them going into Lunga, they really expressed how welcome they felt and how vibrant the culture was. And being introduced to local food of skaapkop was one of their highlights, of really strange cuisine, which is sheep head. Our exhibition match was something we really wanted to develop and make it feel like something special. So I think the way we had sold it to the people around us, you would think that the actual first Everton team were playing. We invited our partner schools out from Capricorn and in the surrounding areas, and it was nice to see how big a turnout there was and how much excitement there was for the game, and people really getting involved and cheering it on. And I think the Everton and the SIFA boys got really competitive in a respectful way of really wanting to win it and have those bragging rights. But seeing the SIFA coaches alongside the Everton coaches strategizing and trying to get a positive result was very special. At the end it was 1-1, so we had shared glory, which I think was a fitting result really. And the Everton boys handed out some memorabilia after, and that was one of the last times that we spent together. So it ended on a real high, and the takeaway has been from Everton that they are very interested and are active in wanting to plan a future trip, and they're looking to come out again next year, which is the ultimate result we could have asked for, of having them excited to be back and excited to integrate with SIFA again. And us being so young, I think that it'll be great for them to see how much we'll change in that year.